They call it patriotism, but we call it what it is: pure, unfiltered bullshit. Welcome to Bluebird on Your Shoulder, where we cut through the MAGA madness with brutal honesty and zero apologies. No sugarcoating, no fake civility, just three guys, middle-aged and pissed off, breaking down the absurdity of right-wing delusion one episode at a time. If you think America deserves better than conspiracy theories and cult worship, you're in the right place. Liberal? Hell yes. Woke? Not a chance. We're here to roast the madness, expose the lies, and call out the grift. Because the only thing worse than MAGA's nonsense is pretending it makes sense. New episodes every week. Buckle up.
Hey everybody, we're back. It's the day. It's Bluebird. We're on your shoulder. We're here. We're having fun. I hope you're having fun. Maybe we're not having fun, but we're gonna play pretend like we're having fun so that we can be here for you. Another fun-filled week of excitement and Tesla salesmanship. So at least we know if we can find a way to impeach him, he can always go sell Teslas. And we'll leave it at that and get started. Go ahead, Josh.
So I just kind of want to talk about seeing some videos and reading some articles of this, that, and the other happening, and Republicans coming in, what they've been in like not even 55 days, I think, at this point, and saying that if the funding bill isn't passed and the government shuts down, that Democrats need to own it and it's our fault. And then just kind of reminiscing, so to speak, of when we had control and we were doing the same thing, and then back then his first term and the back and forth. And I'm like, this has been ongoing petty kindergarten bickering of whose fault it is when they're the ones in control and this, that, and the other, and the inability to govern for the people for, I want to say, our whole lives, and probably reality before that.
At least our adulthood.
At least our adulthood. I think it started getting bad to where it was a lot of finger pointing and blaming, and instead of working together, party line after Desert Storm. Because I vastly remember where I grew up, I was the minority. Our neighbor was an African American veteran, very moderate, probably a little left-leaning naturally. And I guess a little ironically, because they're originally from South Carolina. And my stepdad is a Vietnam vet and a very staunch Republican, just a regular Republican, not a MAGA. There is a difference.
There is a difference.
But I
There is a
remember that
difference.
they would sit out in the driveway, and have a beer and sit down in the lawn chairs in the driveway and talk after mowing the grass or whatever, and have political conversations. And even if they disagreed, like, they were still friends. You shook hands, said have a good night, and saw each other the next day. No hurt feelings. And now it's, you can't talk about it if you don't agree with me. I hate you. I block you. Fuck you. Like, whatever. And
You report them to the
yeah,
HOA.
you report them to HOAs. Like, it's just so childish. And I know it's not really a topic, but I saw way too many articles this week of the finger pointing and the name blaming and own this, and you are in control of all three levels of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Get shit done.
I mean, I think you have an interesting point, right? And I agree with you that politics did used to be different. I've been super political since before I could vote.
Well, I,
so
I would say I would say to that point, I've said it before, Greenspan, weaponized the Congress against Clinton, and that's when they realized that, this divisive type of politicking works, and they were able to garner more control. And since then, they've just been, weaponizing it over and over and over again, to the point that we're dealing with Trump.
Yeah, and
So-
well, and now it's, like the name blaming and own this, and we're going on what, a better part of 2 decades now of haven't actually passed a budget.
Right.
I mean, let's break it into two pieces. I think you're right about when it started.
Yep.
Ultimately, um, I long for the days where that can come back, but I don't think today's are those days. These days are those days because I can't find common grounds with people who support somebody who obviously wants to destroy the country.
Right.
For one reason or another. I don't know. I don't know if he's throwing a childish fit, if he's just that stupid. I don't know. Right. Or if he is truly used to being able to say this and he gets it. So I really don't know what that is. But on the other side of that coin, I think ultimately politics didn't used to be divisive based on people.
Right.
It used to be divisive based on policy.
Right.
Or ideology.
Right.
Now it's divisive based on people. And I think when that happened was when, God forbid, we let a black guy run the country.
Yep. And
they
the amount of
couldn't
latent
handle
racism that took over in our politics.
Yeah.
Right. They couldn't handle it. Right. So they found ways to attack him as a person. Because they obviously couldn't do what they wanted to do and openly attack his race. So they found ways to say he wasn't a citizen and he's this and he's soft and, not soft on crime, just soft.
Yeah.
And so because the good old boy club couldn't handle the fact that we've come a long way from fucking their wives turning bed sheets into hoods and putting the eyes in the wrong places, right? Like we've come a long way from that, and they couldn't handle that. And more the white Christian nationalism is taking more and more root.
Yeah.
So there's a YouTube maybe is what it originally is. Or maybe it's a show. I don't know. It's called Jubilee. And it's where like 1v20. So one person comes in and then there's 20 opposers. So this was one liberal, very progressive, Sam, I can't pronounce his last name.
There's a show like it on the other side
right,
too.
Right. Then there was 20 there was 20 mega.
Yeah.
And like I've seen other liberals in there. I've seen other megas take, like Charlie Kirk has sat center stage there and taken on 20 progressives, right? Like I like the format. I think it's really good. And I typically see clips of it, in different social media outlets. And this girl was arguing him and she straight went into xenophobic nationalism openly.
Yeah.
That America is a white Christian nation. It was founded on white Christian values. It should be white Christian. We shouldn't have multiculturalism. And I am watching the clip like, the fuck is happening?
Talking about the country that's known as a melting pot.
Right. We can't get into all of that, but I'm just like, you're willing to say that, like on something
it's what they really feel.
It's what they want.
And every once in a while, you're able to break them open, and they actually let those fears and those thoughts come out, where normally they're trying to cloak it in something, some kind of nationalist, good for the people type of argument. But when you actually break them open and you get them into a corner enough where they speak what is really on their hearts, it's hate and fear. And that's the reason that, people like us can't have those civil discourses because they're not being honest with their motivations for what they're doing.
Right. So he didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And of course they're presenting that on the right as a win, right? But he's like, first off, obviously a Jewish man.
Right.
Who's got a little bit of tincture to his skin, a little melanin in there, right? Because he's from the Mediterranean. Right. And I'm just like, what in the fuck? And now you're so willing to say it that they're not being quiet about it. And there is a rising tide where this is becoming as racial as I assumed it would.
Right.
And it's just so
But then
unbelievably
we're the ones being
interesting.
divisive for bringing it up and calling them
Oh,
what it is.
we're all kinds of everythings, bro.
Yeah.
Where like I just saw one they're attacking because like there are people regretting their vote. They're
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
It's happening. It's happening. You can put compilation of their clips from their TikToks or their YouTube shorts or their right. They're openly coming out being like, "Yeah, I fucked up. My bad." Now
Yeah.
there's a part of the left that's like, "Don't care. Fuck you." Um. So, and I kind of understand that sentiment. I don't necessarily
and
think
then you got the
like
third side, and then you
I
got the
need you to
third
come
side
back.
of it where they get asked again if they could have a do-over because they don't like what's going on. They say that they would still vote for him.
Yeah, but I think that's slowly fading. I think the regret's
That
getting bigger and
hopefully,
bigger.
But some of
But
that's
what it
just
is,
they're still
and
waiting for the unfolding of this
Yeah.
disaster that we're
right.
watching.
Well, and that's the thing. So now the right's like, that's not real. Nobody who voted for him is unhappy. Nobody who did this, they're just liars.
Yeah.
Liars are repulsive.
Yeah.
Liars shouldn't. Who the fuck did you vote for? So that's like 8 people who have blocked me in the last 12 hours have been me countering that. Like, wait, hold on.
Yeah, and just so
You're
those people
saying
know,
you don't like
fraud is considered
liars,
lying.
Yeah.
but you voted for the guy who has a documented 30,000 plus lies in his first term.
Right.
Like fully fact checked. Even the right doesn't talk about it because they know it's true. So, but you have a problem.
Liberal base.
Yeah. Well, that's the argument is, oh, well, now everybody does it, so it doesn't matter.
It's the bully mentality.
Yeah, but that's in the same
said
post
about
where
him
you
is-
just said that line is repulsive because
Right.
the left does it. Like you're here and I'm here, and now it's okay, and now it's not okay, and now it's okay. And I've, like we talked about last week, I'm trying to become more civil. And I try. It's not working really well.
I
Because
just stay out of it.
maybe I just give up too fast. But it's like I said, bro, like I can't steal from an infant and then claim I'm a great thief.
Right.
Yeah.
And you want me to have logical discourse with a short bus special. And I can't fucking do it because I
Right.
don't know how to be that stupid. I
Right.
don't know. I did drugs that were supposed to make me that stupid, and I'm still not that stupid. Like, what is really happening? Like, they're creating worlds I don't think I could have created on LSD. Like, what are you doing? So it's just a wild, I don't know, like if I didn't believe in parallel universes, I would today because it's got to be real because that has to be where the fuck they're coming from.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you can in a 2-minute time span, you can say both things and you can see that you said both things. And then I say, well, why are you saying both things? I'm not. The fuck? Are you reading what I'm reading? Well, what do you mean you're not? Can you explain to me how you're not? Like I said, I've been trying. I've been trying. So, and like I'm not getting very far. Because they're locked in.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're locked in. It's whatever they're told is what they're going with, and they don't care.
Well, and so what I've been doing for the past week is I've been watching a lot of Fox News, and yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so I have a perma headache that I've been trying to nurse, and so what they're doing is you can see it, it's the, they start off with a narrative that is, MAGA, and then they feed in some facts surrounding it. Like for instance, I know you wanted to talk about the college student that was arrested, and there was a protest of about 150 people in Trump Tower. And
98 of them got arrested.
98 got arrested. Did you see the interview with the police chief? So it was funny. She's trying to create this narrative where he's an extreme Hamas, green card holder. It's green card holder, not U.S. citizen, green card holder, and they're trying to paint this picture where they broke into Trump Tower and they're being violent and destructive. It was 150 people. 98 people were arrested. They charged them with resisting arrest because they had to carry them out.
Mhm.
That's not resisting arrest. That's just
It's
not arresting themselves for you. And then so that's going to get dropped. And most of those, trespassing are all going to get dropped too, because that was a public space that they were operating in.
Yeah.
They just
well, I mean, you brought it up, right? So, Muhammad Khalil,
Yeah.
did get arrested at night by federal agents he was coming home in
Yeah.
front of his pregnant wife. He's a green card holder. So, for those who don't know, that makes him a legal permanent resident. It does not make him a citizen,
Mm-hmm.
but it makes him a legal permanent resident. And I don't necessarily think my stance, you even need to be that.
No.
So there's two due process clauses in the Constitution, one in the Fifth and one in the 14th, and they say the same thing, right? Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or prosperity or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws.
Yep.
It doesn't say citizen.
Yep.
And we are talking about a group of people who were very clear in other parts of the document about citizen
Mm-hmm.
or white landowner, or like they were very specific. They meant person.
Yeah.
And that was a moment where when it comes to the law and the application of the law, all people on our soil are equal.
Right.
And now you have to tell me the Constitution isn't law to tell me that what they did wasn't illegal. And you kidnapped a resident like black bag style.
Yeah.
Like you didn't black bag him, but you did it black bag style.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't while in the commission of a crime or anything like that.
No. And for something he did last year.
Right.
Something that didn't even happen currently or recently. It's something that he did last year, which was lead protests against our involvement or our funding or our arming, whatever word you want to choose, of Israel.
Yeah.
Right. Which, yes, that we do it all. Right. So the First Amendment,
let's make sure that we finish that statement. Israel, who is committing human rights violations and genocide to Palestinians.
Well, yeah, because we need a resort. But I argue with the First Amendment a lot. People are like, we should be allowed to say anything because free speech. And I'm like, that's not what it was designed for. That's not what it says.
That's also not what it says. Well, that's
for free speech against the government.
Right.
That's exactly what he was doing.
Right.
This wasn't free speech just to say fuck Israel or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or we should do this or wait. That's not what was happening.
Yeah,
He was literally protesting the government of the United States of America, which is the absolute intention of the First Amendment. He is a legal permanent resident. So even if you want to pull the only citizens have Constitution, even though the Constitution directly tells you otherwise.
Right.
In every possible angle, you took a fucking citizen or a resident.
Yeah.
And then the other part is you didn't detain him where he lives because the judicial system isn't going to be favorable to you.
Right.
So you black bag him, throw him on an airplane, take him down to Louisiana. His wife can't find him. His lawyers can't find him. Nobody knows where he is. It is absolute authoritarianism.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It is absolute fascism. There's been a lot of subtles where I can paint the picture for you, or we can walk you through a whole bunch of stuff people don't understand. This was a man, agree or disagree, who was absolutely participating in his First Amendment right in its intention. And now you're going to persecute him for that?
Mhm.
Their spin, he supports Hamas. Okay, you know what? Maybe he does. Maybe he does. I don't agree with that. I don't support terrorists, right? Why I also got no problem with Jewish people, got a problem with the state of Israel.
Yeah.
But I don't support either of those groups, right?
Right.
But each
Well,
individual
neither
right,
political party or state.
arm, right.
Right.
Yeah.
But the individuals that live there, I
Right.
100% support your right to
Right.
be alive and have freedom, and I want all
Right.
that for you. And I don't know how. I mean, Anne Boutier, like the most let's deport everyone who has 1 milligram of melanin,
Yeah.
came out and was like, yeah, I think this might be a violation of the free. I have never in my life found myself on the same side as Anne Cloutier. Never in my life. And now that's my homegirl
Yeah.
because at least she can see it for what it is. Tommy Laron came out and
Yeah.
openly said,
Saw that.
yeah, I don't know about this one
Yeah.
Wow.
because it's point blank and period.
Yeah. Well,
Authoritarianism.
and what they're trying to do is they're trying to hit him for a crime that they can revoke his green card so that
Yeah.
they can send him
Send
out.
him, yeah.
So that's the object. And what we're seeing is that they're trying to paint a picture that there is no evidence backing. He may be pro-Palestine, but I don't know that he's pro-Hamas. And even if he is, he's not pro-terrorism. You know, if you look at everything that he was involved in, those were legal, those were legal demonstrations that he organized and led, and none of them promoted death of any kind by anybody,
Right.
except all it promoted was the de-escalation of genocide by Israel to the Palestinians.
Yeah, ultimately, like I know their spin is like, they were denying Jewish students access, they were doing, and that was happening. He wasn't the one doing it.
Well, and here's the thing:
And those are
if you
stupid
have
people doing stupid things.
well, if you have a legal right to be in a place and that restricts people going from one place to another, then what has to happen is there has to be a form of violence or specific obstruction in order for it to be detainment of another. And the part of Fox was trying to talk about how workers inside of a cafeteria feared for their lives because they couldn't leave the area that they were working in. Okay, so if you can't leave your workspace for 15 minutes because people are being arrested in front of you, that is not against the law. You are not being illegally detained. So the spin is interesting.
It is, and it's just like I figured the full frontal assault on the Constitution would take longer.
Mm.
This has been on this. We're on like warp drive here.
Yeah,
but
that's what we talked about. When we're talking about the Trump creed. The fact that Trump is trying to roll out all of Project 2025 as fast and as hard as possible, so that everybody's scrambling, nobody knows what's really going on, so they can slip stuff like this in, so that they can enact programs in the coming months and years that will be more substantial. Because right now Congress is still getting their feet wet. They're still trying to figure out what all they're going to be able to get done in these next 2 years, so that they can solidify it in law. Because without that, then the courts are just going to keep doing what they're doing, rejecting basically everything that comes in front of them, because of course it's all bullshit. But if they're able to push through some major piece of legislation that would make it so that there could be precedent set against those things, then the legs of the law have to abide by that, that ruling, or by that precedent that's set. So this is always the plan, and he's just going to get more and more brazen. Especially, like, did you see that Russia's backing away from the peace peace agreements.
Shocking.
You know,
Imagine that.
yeah. So, but do you see how little that Trump is reacting to it? You know,
Yeah,
so they're trying to do
because he's
that.
a go-go boy.
Right, right. But now suddenly Trump has has levers that he can pull, fiscal levers that he can pull to stop oil from going to Europe. I think that's kind of on the Europeans, but whatever. That we can freeze bank accounts and stuff like that. Think we already did that. But like those are the kinds of things that they're trying to pivot to make it look like he's still doing a lot in that to keep everybody focused on that while this civil rights abuse is going on here at home. We're gonna see that pivot to the economy once the economy finishes
I'm like,
receding.
what economy? The one that's going straight down?
The one that's in a free fall, yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
that's
we're what 10% below its first, in its first correction. So
Yeah, and now he's trying to order Americans to not view their 401k portfolios because they're doing so bad. Saw that today. I was like,
I don't necessarily know if that's real, but I did see that today.
it was a
Um,
headline that came across my laptop today. I was like, you got to get the fuck out of here.
So I only saw it on Twitter, and I don't 100% believe the things I see on Twitter.
Yeah, no. Some
well,
things,
I mean, he already said things like it's gonna get harder, and then suddenly everybody's like, stop talking about egg prices.
But then eggs did go down a little bit, and now we're going to talk about them again.
Yeah, of course.
So,
yeah. Because
like true.
I know it's not actually true.
Egg prices actually have went up since he's been in office 18%.
Yep.
Inflation has only went down.
I'm fully aware. Yeah, but so it's went down
the 0.2% is inflation is slowing.
It's gone down.
Well,
it's done this
slowing because our economy is slowing.
Right.
Well, no. So that's the other
we're holding on to our money because we don't know what the fuck's about to happen.
Is he actually tanking the economy on purpose to say, see, I lowered prices? Because if you completely destroy the economy, prices will come down.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
But so, like, is that
people's
the
ability
only way
to pay their mortgage?
Well, no, I understand that. So, hey, maybe I'll get a cheap house out of the deal. It's fine. But I just can't. I can't sit idly by and watch that direct assault on the Constitution.
Yeah.
And I think
I'm down for a difference of opinion. I'm down for a difference of ideology. I'm down for a difference of policy. At the end of the day, that document's all that matters.
Yeah. And I think to kind of sum up, like, what you're saying about this free speech is like they want like unequivocal free speech. That's fine. Doesn't mean that your free speech does not have consequences for what you say.
No, so yeah, if you want to be able to speak freely, cool, speak freely, but then there will be consequences to your actions by other people. Cool. That's
you're literally taught that since kindergarten.
Well,
preschool, like, you know what I mean?
I think we're getting to it. I think I've realized a lot more people never got punched in the mouth than I thought. Well, so like the way we all grew up, I'm pretty sure everybody had been punched in the mouth.
Made it very, very acceptable to
say what you want without any consequences. A majority of his people aren't. They're older. They're our age and older. Like he does have some of the crypto bros and some of the youth of the male white youth
in general.
But like look at the reality. Like he let the Tate brothers come back to the country. Yeah. Like they're obviously sex traffickers. Like that's been proven
to essentially avoid persecution.
To the point where DeSantis was like, yeah, we don't want you in fucking Florida. And since you're here, now we're going to launch an investigation on you. And if we find out you did something, we got the death penalty. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They do. They have the death penalty for that there now. Yeah. So like, and it's like, then there's divisions on that side.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that those divisions stay, because I think that might be the only thing that saves us at this point.
See, I thought that the Republican Party was going to implode, after January 6th, but they just reinvented themselves and came back stronger. I mean, obviously, the economy had a major play on that, but the rhetoric that is being accepted as just gospel is scary.
I mean, let's
to
be
the
honest.
point that we're now on a human rights watch list.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking
That's
sad.
fucking disgusting.
But let's be honest.
We probably should have been
I,
before, but we were part of the human rights committee in NATO, so that's what kept us off of it. I mean,
yeah, no,
Guantanamo Bay.
he should have never tried to rerun.
No.
That's it. I like him. I think he did what he's supposed to do. I don't necessarily think he had the greatest presidency. I don't think he had the most terrible presidency either.
No, he was
But
supposed to be
he came in knowing he was going to be one.
He was like the
yeah.
bridge quarterback, like the rookie comes in, you show him how to do it, and you got rid of the guy that couldn't do it no more. And
that's where they messed up, was that they just planned on him, running twice, and he should have been, bringing up other Democrats to take front and center stage so that he could step aside after him, the wet blanket was tossed on America, because we needed that shit. We were aflame. And, and we had luckily he was, he had enough smart people around him to, tame the economy down. Obviously we're just now seeing the results of that. And now with mismanagement, we're going to see the inverse of, that inflation run that we had. And
I gotta say, Tesla's eating shit, and I love it.
Well, I mean, the amount of stock that not yet. No, it's still in correction. But like the amount of stock that I'm looking at right now, I'm still not quite sure if they're going to bottom out. I know that there's some room for growth in some of these corrections that we've seen, but I'm not running headlong into a whole bunch of investments right now until I see Berkshire, start to reinvest some of their cash that,
there's a lot of people that are liquid right now.
Yeah.
I read or heard, I don't know, I listened to quite a few pods in the last few days. I think I heard this one where they said the reason that they're freaking out so bad about Tesla is because the loans that he took to buy Twitter are based on his Tesla stock.
His stock, yeah.
And if the value dropped too low, the banks can come and say, hey, and he's the one who's funding the administration.
Yeah, I mean,
like I said, that's a little beyond my scope, right?
No, because
it's obviously a left-leaning pod.
Yeah, and the Fed is, the federal administration is funded by taxpayers through the Treasury. There is no external funding there. Now, he was the main source of Trump funding, so so they're going to be scrambling to try to bail out Tesla, and we've seen some of that. I mean, for fuck's sake, we have a Tesla commercial that just got shot on the White House front lawn.
That's what I said. He can sell Tesla,
because the federal government isn't supposed to choose winners and losers or anything.
Yeah, didn't Biden do something with like Jeep or Stellantis or? I know I saw a clip of him getting in the Jeep and driving it. We were definitely at the White House. I don't know what was going on. I didn't look into it.
I think that, but I don't think that was I don't think that was a Jeep commercial. I think what that was a show or something that was sponsored by Jeep. So kind of like
interesting.
So like who was it that did the drives with the presidents? Corvettes and coffee or something like that? I don't remember.
Well, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So like, that was a show, on a major network that had sponsors. So it was a little bit different. Of course they're going to take advantage of stuff like that, but this was pretty blatant, and the fact that we were seeing all kinds of evidence showing that that Tesla is trying to take advantage of the relationship with the administration to tank any other electric vehicle or alternate fuel vehicle development in order to strengthen Tesla's hold on that market. So, the evidence is just getting a little too strong for the picking of winners and losers.
His richest friend.
Well,
Dude, look,
he's paying back Elon for the thing that won him the presidency, Twitter, and I mean even
it really did.
Yeah, Bill O'Reilly even said it.
Yeah.
No, it really did.
I just watched an interview with him
Twitter, today. Without Twitter, it never happens.
Yeah.
So that's for sure.
I think
so. Really, this is all Jack Dorsey's fault.
I think it's important to earmark Jack Dorsey. I think it's important to earmark here that we had talked before, probably, I don't know, week 1, week 2, about the coinciding of the economy cycle, the economic cycle, and the presidential cycles, and how typically it's the first 1.5 to 2 years of a new president is essentially still the results of the prior president.
Well, the fiscal year doesn't start until October. So as of right now, we are still in the fiscal year of last year's.
I'm referencing that because his first term, the first 6 months when the economy started booming again, was a result of Obama's economy, essentially, but he wanted to tout that.
Right.
And now he wants to blame it all on Biden. However, the parts of the economy that are tanking are not because of presidential policy. They are because of skepticism and speculation of what this jackass is doing.
Well, not only that, but he's also changing the face of employment across all of our states, where we're looking at, losing an average of like 2,000 jobs per state, at minimum, so.
But he's going to bring back American jobs.
They keep dropping that R word, and some people are starting to bring up the D word because of what happened with a prior president who did war trades. And, we talked about that in our personal group chat. Like, he's literally,
you gotta remember.
So you don't read or remember history, and you're doing the same things before when your economy started going to shit, but you think that they worked. And when you start letting all these jobs go, and inflation is still high, even though it's down 0.2%. So they're going to tout that it's slowing. Great. 0.2%. That's meaningless, essentially.
And when you've seen a 10%, drop in economic output in that same amount of time, it doesn't make up.
And then your unemployment rises. Yes, that is the perfect form of 2 + 2 = 4 every time for a recession.
Not in Trump. 2 + 2 = -17.
The other thing that people don't understand is that, with a lot of these contracts being thrown into question, we have farmers that aren't making their loan payments. We have whole business sectors that don't know if they're going to get paid for the contracts that they have. There's disruptions in treasury flow of money. All of that spells disaster for our economy. And so we're looking at, the EU, we're looking at all of these people retaliating on tariffs, looking at our debt, saying we don't know if they're going to be able to pay it, so they're not going to buy it. And what happens when we can't sell our debt? That's when we get into real trouble.
Yeah.
Because then
we're also fucking with all the people that would buy it.
Right. Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Like he is literally.
They're all looking at us like
it's a revenge tour. But bigger than we thought. Yeah, I understood that there was. I really did. I thought he'd try to arrest Pelosi. I thought he would try. Like, I thought these things would happen. Right?
He's trying.
Well, we'll see. They're not a fan of Pammy bonbons. They're not.
Yeah,
they're not a fan.
They've already dumped a whole bunch of like the prosecutor, the special counsel, a bunch of lawyer groups, they've revoked their security clearance.
Yeah, so I understand that.
Yeah,
but I'm just looking at
I forget who it was that said that they are looking into and have not ruled out being able to prosecute Kamala and Joe.
Yeah, that's just talk. that's bullshit. Like,
Yeah,
they
but to
don't,
Good
even
luck with
say
that.
that, like,
oh no,
it's just,
they said it before, you know.
Yeah,
They
but my thing is
That's just
like
them
I
trying to,
expected that kind of revenge, right? Like
right.
this, right?
Yeah,
I
talk.
didn't realize that you were mad at Canada and you were mad at the EU because it all stems from like you're a fuckwad and they won't let you in the club because of it.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
they all talk shit about him. You know,
yeah.
Well, that's
they I mean, we had
Well, he makes
a
it so easy.
world, a whole world that protested Donald Trump. Like the whole world across like 100 different countries.
Switzerland protested him today.
Yes. So
The
like of
most
course
neutral
he's
nation
pissed.
in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
Yes. So like, and
Walked around
we're
with
like,
penises
why
with
is
the
he
middle
being so
finger
mean to
up.
Canada? Well,
Yeah.
because they called us and said, we're sorry you have to go through this. We see this. You know, that's why he hates Trudeau so much, because he's pretty and he talked bad about Trump, you know, just like he put down Angela in Germany, and
Yeah.
and then like that then Britain swung back to the left, in their last election. So he's out there like just swinging, trying to catch people in their job, but the world is just feeling sorry for us at this point.
Yeah, Marco Rubio's a cuck, so
Oh my
that poor
God.
kid, that
The
dude, he
I
sold his
I have
soul
never
and he
seen a
didn't
grown man look
realize.
more like a 5-year-old when he was sitting on that couch and they were going off on Zelensky. He just sat there like, I can't believe I'm doing this. What did I do?
Well, and then he gets berated on national world TV at the State of the Union. Like Trump sits there and literally berates him and makes fun of him, and then he's like, "Oh, go make this deal over with Zelensky and Putin." Like, what?
They're
He wasn't even at the interview, I don't think, tonight, with the EU group that was there in the Oval Office. I don't think Rubio was there.
interesting because what the Irish are here, right? I'm pretty sure it's the Irish that are here.
No,
So
it was a delegation from it wasn't a NATO delegation. It was like a EU,
the EU delegation.
yeah. I'll look it up.
Well, it's just so I don't know. I want to know where the bridge too far is for the average person. For the average person. I know there is no bridge too far for MAGA. None. He says that
That
it's
bridge was a
gold.
while
That's
ago.
it. Right. But where is the bridge too far for the average American? Where is the left already doesn't like you? Cool, we got that. MAGA will never not like you. They will give you fucking Hummers until they die.
Yeah.
So they would literally suck toes, bro. I have no fucking people call bootlickers. No, they're toe suckers. Um, and that spans normal people, veterans, all the above, active servicemen. That shit blows my mind. Like,
Well,
how
they're
was
they're
what he
it's
did?
a mixed bag right now. I'm seeing
No,
I'm
it
seeing
is.
some of my brothers in arms, have come out, especially when the Ukraine shit show happened last week. They all came out and spoke eloquently and specifically about, this is where I can't abide. And so there is a lot of that. This, 80,000 VA jobs when it's already hard enough to get medical services and
Yeah,
mental health services.
you're gonna be right back to being able not to get care.
Yeah, you want to talk about 22 a day? Try taking away mental health services. Try taking away secretaries that man, these offices that are already understaffed. And now I can't even call and talk to somebody in the same state as me, and we're gonna see, a pretty big backlash to that. A lot of veterans that are blindly MAGA have quieted. At least they have quieted. They're not sharing shit just
Well,
willy
because
nilly.
there's like I said, there's no way now. There's no arguing that we're in a full frontal assault on the Constitution
Right,
still.
right.
That this man wants to firmly. I don't know how many others or whatever or who that, but he wants to be fucking king.
Oh yeah, and he's
and it's apparent.
continued to make statements about a third term.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
Just trying to
just this
figure
past
out
I'm
week.
how.
fully fucking aware
Yeah.
that
Oh, and
he's trying to
by the
figure
way,
that out.
it was NATO Secretary General Ruddy.
Okay.
So, and Ireland
Well,
today.
okay, so I was gonna say I'm pretty sure Ireland pulled up yesterday.
Yep.
So it's just like I don't I don't know how or what to say to like I said, diehard MAGA, there's just no choice, right? But there's Republicans out there that are still supporting you. How do I reach you, how do I reach you and make you understand like you that you all I need to make them understand you are seeing what you think you're seeing.
So here's what I'm realizing with my you know Fox News self-hating
You're tough,
exposure is that
masochistic.
yeah is that these these people are being programmed, so they're getting hit with sometimes the rational arguments, like what I said about Bill O'Reilly, that interview today was fairly rational. So like, when he explains things like Trump is a narcissist on, the craziest level that we've ever seen, he describes it as Trump is transactional. He looks at every single thing as an individual transaction and is trying to win whatever his term of winning is in every single one of those transactions. Explained like that, man, I want to vote for the guy. But then when you talk about malignant narcissism and it coincides exactly with Bill O'Reilly's description, now we're getting to see where there's two truths, and their confirmation bias, their echo chamber, and their tribalist mentality is so ingrained in one way that the only way to break them of that is to create enough of um you got to break them out of it. Geez, oh Pete, my brain just stopped. When
Yeah.
cognitive
Drugs.
Guys, this is what
Dissonance,
happens when you
cognitive
watch Fox
dissonance.
News.
This is what happens when you watch.
Cognitive dissonance. I got there. Thank you. All right, so we have to create enough cognitive dissonance with things that make sense and are soft enough for them to ingest, because the minute that we confront them and we say this is what's really going on, then they've already turned off. So without approaching them in the same way that Fox has brainwashed them, we can't unprogram that. So we have to create small cognitive dissonance that cause them to kind of break away from that stream of shit that they're being fed every day.
Yeah, because it has to be the regular. Like I said, MAGA. They're too stupid. They're not gonna. They're not
Right,
gonna
right.
do it. I've also been publicly starting to discuss my inbred theory. So where I'm not talking about sleeping with your brother or cousin fucking. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these rural areas that started at population 800 200 years ago and are now population 5,000. Nobody moved there.
Yeah.
Nobody moves to small farm town Iowa. Nobody does that, right? Like, it's they don't know how to fucking farm. And then your average person, especially in rural areas, it's known that 92% don't leave 8 miles from where
Yeah.
they grew up.
Yep.
It's a little less common in urban areas, but it's still strong, a very
Yeah.
strong percentage. So you started off as this population 600, one stop sign, no lights. Now you got one light, two stop signs.
Yeah.
But your population 5,000, you don't know that the person you're sleeping with is actually genetically related to you 10 generations ago. You don't.
I mean,
They don't realize it, right? And it's not intentional inbreeding. But if you go back and look at medieval times and historical times where similar things happened,
Hmm.
yeah, it has a effect on the intelligence.
Yeah.
So because there is shared DNA there, and it's not like I said, it's not. I'm not saying you're out there waxing Aunt Sally. That's not what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that your girlfriend, who you're very much in love with, or your wife who you're very much in love with, is actually your great 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 grandniece,
Well,
and you don't
and
fucking
so
know it.
so what they say is, three generations apart is genetic difference enough. But I think that what you're talking about is something that we see with ball pythons. We have been targeting certain genetic outcomes with them so hard, and it just in 25 years, in the time that I've been, from a teenager first getting into it and seeing my first pieball, that was valued at like $20,000 to now I can buy them for $300. And we're seeing so many genetic morphs, but in the process of doing that, we have also seen the outset of neurological um, deficiencies where you can turn some of these guys over on their backs and they can't even rotate their body around to come right side up, or they
This
have a
is what I mean.
wobble when they're
Yeah,
trying to move
this is what
around.
I mean, right? Like it's. I don't think it was intentional. I'm not trying to say that about them. You
Yeah.
don't know it's happening, but it is happening. And there's historic. Now, I didn't know a fucking thing about what you just said, but I know you well enough to know that shit's true. Um, but I have looked into historical references to this medieval times, small towns where generation after generation. I'm not talking about the royals who were doing it on purpose,
Right, right.
Yeah,
right?
Well,
I
and
was gonna
So
say.
yeah,
and well,
yeah. I'm
and
not
we
talking
are
about the
seeing
royals, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm
we
talking
are
about
seeing a record amount of redheads, So
That's your
sometimes
fault.
yeah, so sometimes what we see is some of this where the certain genetic outcomes are considered desirable, so they get better chances to breed. But when it's two blondes coming together, those are weaker genetic expressions. They require two weaker genetic expressions before that. So what we're starting to see is we're starting to see some weaker genetics, and that's why there is a small increase of some neurological mental health issues being one.
I got
I
those.
think, yeah, and I think some of it is also just the our biological brains and what they're geared for is not what they are being exercised in, and so we're seeing a phenotype of people that aren't able to express themselves, think critically, and they've been bred that way too. They haven't had to think critically because, like you said, small town, they go to school, they barely graduate high school, they have an alcohol problem, they married, their high school sweetheart, and then they got a job at the local Miller factory,
Yeah.
and
Or they
so,
run a farm.
Yeah.
well,
So
most,
and yeah, and I'm not downtreading any of them, right? Like I
yeah,
think all of those are valuable people and they're all valuable
absolutely,
jobs, but there is a reality,
right.
Yeah.
and that reality can't be ignored, especially at the point where like that's what I was saying. Like I've gotten to the point where I was talking to you guys earlier. I want the Democratic Party to now come out and put it on Front Street. These people are stupid. I don't want it to be innuendo. I don't want it to be under their breath. I want it to be bullet points on the white screen, on the whiteboard, bullet points on the whiteboard of all the stupid. And now I need people to choose. Are you going to let the stupid people decide who make the decisions? Or are you going to let the not stupid people decide who make the
Right.
decisions? Right? Like, because that's where we've gotten to, because the stupid
Well,
people decided.
and
Well,
And this is where we are.
there's only one clear cut reason, fact, whatever you want to call it, as to why the most uneducated, not that being educated makes you smart, because there is a difference between being educated and intelligent. Um, but why the most, we'll just say, no secondary education, just
Well,
high school graduates or less, voted for and continue to vote for and live in the most impoverished cities and states in the country are
Because
all
it's very societal, right? But okay, so like what you're saying is right. Education doesn't equal intelligence per se, for sure. But what IQ is a predictor of, IQ doesn't tell you if you're actually smart or not.
Right.
It tells you how easily it is for you to recognize patterns. Therefore, how easy is it for you to learn?
Right.
To you, right? So somebody with a low IQ, a Forrest Gump, right? An 85, maybe a little higher than that because that's, in a minute for real. But yeah, that 85 to 90 range, right? You will be able to become an expert in one thing in your lifetime. You will still be intelligent in that thing. You will be an expert. You will be able to speak firmly. You will, and that will reinforce to you that you are actually intelligent. Where a 140 can be an expert in 600 things in the same time frame, because it takes a lot less time for them to become an expert because they can learn at a much faster pace. So it's not, IQ isn't whether you're smart or stupid. You're correct. But IQ is how much can you ingest and retain and logically break down. And that's what we don't have. They are lower IQ, so they cannot logically break down that vote red means more bad.
Well,
They can't logic because
Yeah.
they're an expert at being an auto mechanic.
right.
Or they're an expert at being a construction worker. And they are. They're experts at it and they're great at it. And there's nothing wrong with it. But you can't go beyond that and become an expert in how politics works. So then you are susceptible
Right.
That's a really
to the
good
propaganda
point.
of politics.
That's a really good point to bring up to the many arguments that could be brought up to everyone has the same opportunities. You just have to work hard and obtain the quote unquote outdated American dream.
Yeah. Well,
that's just people who have no worldview. And they don't know that, yes, in your town,
right,
everybody had an equal opportunity.
Yeah.
But the person in the next 2 towns over doesn't have that same opportunity because their education system isn't your education system. It's like he goes to school in a very wealthy part of where we live.
Yeah.
So the education is fantastic. The school, the high school that he will eventually go to has 4 cafeterias, 3 swimming pools, a weight room that rivals a D1 football program. Like it has a football field that would make Texas impressed. And it's like, because there's money, but you go 20 miles north. There's metal detectors at the door. There's not enough teachers.
Yep.
They don't have the iPads. Like he gets to come home with, I don't even think it's an iPad. I think it's like a full laptop that he can come home with, right? Like they don't have those options, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me that both of those people are being given the same opportunity? I mean, and it's so true that where we live, because I'm not rich like that, where we live isn't where he goes to school. He should, we go through the, jump through the hoops to get him, I don't
lottery
know,
and whatnot.
Right, the lottery. She handles that part for me, right?
So
that's why, because even in this area where we're separated by 5 miles, the education where we live is not bad, but it's worse.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's what we were talking about earlier before we decided to start taping, was the Department of Education takes federal money from all tax brackets, all rich and poor areas, and then they divvies it out to where it needs to be the most in order to try to provide at least a semblance of level playing field when it comes to education, your K through 12 education. And
it's very, for those who don't understand but do understand sports, specifically baseball, it's very luxury tax.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what it is. That's what the Department of Education does. Just like the Yankees, who I'm a fan of, have to pay a whole big money because we spend a
Right.
lot of money, and then that money goes to low market teams
Right.
or small market teams who
Yeah.
cannot spend that much money. That is the same exact equation of what the Department of Education is supposed to do.
And that's all that they do. People think that they also research, what, or they fund research that talks about what's best for educators, those that are educated. The push that our state saw a couple years back for high schoolers to start school later than elementary school students, and the flip-flop, because when I was in high school, I went to bed at 7:30 a.m.
I was like, bro, don't tell stories like you went to high school.
Some
bro. We
night.
knew each other.
but we high school started at 7:30 and elementary started at 9. Now it's flip-flopped because we've found through science and funding research that the adolescent brain doesn't do as well that early in the morning. And so to optimize learning, to create the best outcomes for teaching, we start them later than we do the elementary kids now. Not
That's
to mention,
actually
I put my son on the bus, and then if I need to leave before my daughter gets on the bus, I can do that because she's
Older.
So
Yeah, you
Right.
can
it's
now
get the young one on the bus to school and you can go to work.
right now one thing I wanted to touch on was, we were talking about, dumb people dumb, and they just don't understand, and that's where MAGA did a great job, for their end goal. Was they defended, people that aren't as capable of critical thinking. They defended them, and they told them, you are just as good as everybody else, and you shouldn't listen to smart people. Instead, you should listen to me because I know what you want. And they said, you know what? That makes sense. And so they don't realize that they're still deferring their understanding of reality to somebody that, is playing on their fears. But the fact that they then demonized education and those that are smart, by saying they're in that tribe over there, that's the real reason why you're not, you're struggling at your 9 to 5 factory job. It's not the billionaires that are making 600,000 times more than you are, and that's 2,000% more adjusted for inflation than your wages raised. It has nothing to do with that. It's these woke professors that are teaching your kids to wear dresses.
Well, they idolize the dumb moron because he does resemble them more.
Right,
he is
right.
more similar to them because they're also dumb fucking morons. So, and they just don't understand that part, right? And we'll wrap up with this. So in the earlier episode, I don't know. This is what, number 8? I don't know. They've been fun. That's what I know. I said we were Germany circa 1922. We're in Germany circa 1933 in a month and a half. We've moved 11 years. What took them 11 years in a month and a half.
Mhm.
Hitler starts World War II in 39. Right? It's right now it looks like we're going to try to take Greenland or Canada. Will that be a bridge too far?
Yes.
Like, will that make the people, will that, if he tries to do it, will that spark the Civil War?
No.
And I'm not sure.
But it'll spark the other.
No, he's only going to do it if he's got enough sentimentality, like we were talking about, of white male MAGA in Canada, and if he's able to spin it as they want to join us, we're just going to go and get our countrymen back. So basically, it's going to have to be mostly political. It can't be boots on the ground. So if it comes to that, which it will, then he'll back down and he'll just say, well, we reached a trade deal with Canada, and now we're, yes, exactly. So it's going to be a win. because
Yeah.
we made a trade deal and now there's no more tariffs.
Right.
So
Well, he never loses, bro. Everything he does
yeah,
is a win,
right,
some way or
Exactly.
another.
And it's all
Right.
unbelievable.
It
and the best
doesn't,
thing
dude.
ever.
He's won
Never seen
more
anything like it.
times than I've changed my underwear
yeah.
in my life. So, but no, another wonderful episode. Definitely came in this one a little more free ball than normal. And it turned out pretty well. Stop watching Fox News. I care about you. So please stop doing that. Go Duke, fuck North Carolina. There you go. So yeah, I see you. I see you out there with that nasty ass blue.
How's
So,
Cooper
but
Flag? Oh,
unfortunately probably fucked. So but no, ultimately really good episode. I hope that people are starting to open their eyes a little bit.
Yep.
And maybe possibly if you think a family member or a friend who was supportive might be opening their eyes, take the time.
Yeah.
By where we need support. We need to change the tide somehow because he is absolutely positively trying to destroy the Constitution of the United States of America. I did not come into this believing for a fact that was true. He has now directly assaulted the most important amendment in the Constitution, the right for us to tell the government to go fuck itself. So, and unfortunately, I hope he doesn't push to the part where we have to go to the part where we're required
Yeah.
to fight the tyranny.
yep.
So,
And anybody
but
that's watching it or listening, if you know anybody, I've tried on some platforms and get crickets, and they stop commenting on the post because now they have nothing to say. I don't know if that's a byproduct of there's not a whole lot to say to defend him at this point, or the fact that they're scared to put their face to name of their
I don't
support,
think
whether
this is
it's
this might be a scary room, bro. This might be because we're not going to come on
trying to
prepared.
get some Trump supporters, MAGA, Republican, whatever you want to call it, from the right on here as a guest. We're not trying to we're just trying to have a discussion. It's not an attack. It's not a trap game. It's we think it's important to
No,
have
I
sides on
100%
here
agree with
eventually.
you. I'm down to let them come on with three set topics, nothing else, no
Yep.
personal attacks.
Right.
So discourse is very, very pivotal to democracy. So I'm down to have that
Because it used
discourse.
to be
But
that way. As I talked about
yeah,
conversations had in my dad's driveway.
And
Right.
if
So-
you guys know anybody or you're in a conversation where you feel like that might be a thing, hashtag B-Boys or hashtag Bluebird on your shoulder. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel or on whatever podcast you're listening to.
excellent. And until next week, we'll be whispering in your ear. We'll see you all later.
Take care.